Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Juju Show number 17, the makeshift show this week. No, not really makeshift, but as you can tell, I am alone. We have sent many of our folks off into the woods to go collaborate together and plan out what will be going on in the next version of Juju and so on. I'm here at home. I've brought my crutches. I am working with my wounded knee until I can get the surgeon to come and fix it. So in the meantime, what I have for you is a mano Juju show of news, and we have a lovely tip. For those of you that watch movies with Mikey, I really want to steal his little "but did you know" and put it in here. So let's get right into the community news of the week, shall we? First up, I wanted to talk about Canonical support for Kubernetes 1.7 on Ubuntu released. Yes, the newest Kubernetes is out and about, and you can deploy that with Juju deploy Canonical Kubernetes. The team's done a good job making sure that things can be upgraded, easy to install. There is a lovely blog post about the new goodness to get in your Kubernetes. So make sure you check that out. I'll have the link in the show notes to the Insights blog post that goes through and talks about the new release. But make sure to go test it out, try it out, and get your Kubernetes on. Get it upgraded. Next, I want to talk about that there is a new release of Juju. The 2.2.2 bug fix release is out. It came out last week. And so again, make sure that if you're running 2.2, well, 2. anything, that you get upgraded here. There's some good bug fixes in there. And I know that this is the release that we're actually going to be updating on Jazz. And so now that that's out, the upgrades will start to go back out. So please make sure to go and keep your Juju controllers and your models up to date. If you need any help or tips or anything about upgrading your controllers, I'll put a link to my blog post that I put together on using model migrations to help upgrade and keep your stuff up to date in a nice, safe, and controlled way. So we've got some good practices for that out there. So just so you're aware, in case you missed the email go by, and if you did miss it go by, make sure you're keeping track on the Juju mailing list. The link to the actual release email will be in the show notes, which talks about, let's see, some debug log fixes, reducing some log spam in a bunch of places. So just overall, fix those little issues. So let's see, 2.3 is coming. That is the next release of Juju, the next big release. And one of the big features in this, we talked about one of them last time we got together, which were the cross-model relations work. Another big thing in there is some work on Juju storage. And I know that a lot of folks use that and have filed it. There's a lot more that could be done with it. And this is a huge step forward. The big news here is that you can now create storage that you use once and then can reuse a second time, in the sense that if I deploy a database and I assign it some storage to use, some persistent storage, and then something were to happen, whether that were to die or our new guy in the office accidentally tore down that instance, we could then redeploy that Postgres, that database, and reuse the same persistent storage we had before so that you could pick right back up. It's great for recovery, for migrating, for things like backup or such, for being able to do things like increase the instance size. So if I had a Postgres and I thought, no one ever needs more than an M3 medium, but one day we do, it allows you to do things like set your constraints, go get yourself a large instance, restart that instance with the same persistent storage block you had before, all within the lovely, the model that Juju's providing you. So Andrew put a post on the Juju mailing list, kind of talking about what's there and a little example, and link to his own blog post about the feature in Juju. I know we'll be working on some additional blog material to put together some of the best use cases and some best practices. So look forward to those coming in the near future. But that's some goodness coming in 2.3. We'll make sure to, much like cross-model relations, make sure to play with it, try it out, and provide feedback on the feature. Make sure it's going to work for the things you've been wanting. And if it's not quite, or if it's missing something, or even if it totally solves your use case, you know, reply back, tell Andrew awesome, and thank him for the awesome work. So with that in mind, I've been trying to play with that storage work. And to do that, I need to play with 2.3, which I don't know if you have noticed or not, but 2.3 is not out yet. So I wanted to talk about why one of the benefits of we have been really pushing using snaps for getting your Juju on. So right now I've got Juju, and that Juju is the latest stable here. And if I look at where that Juju is coming from, it's the normal user bin Juju. This is installed from the PPA, and it's the latest stable PPA release. Now that's great. It helps me, you know, when people have issues, or if I want to put together, you know, blog post or something where folks can repeat it. But when it comes time to providing feedback and helping test bugs and all that, it's not the best. The other way I could go is I could totally, you know, git clone, you know, Juju/Juju, and work on building it and go path and dependencies and stuff. And that happens sometimes. But oftentimes, it's much, much easier for me to just go and get basically a daily build of Juju via snaps. So snaps is kind of the Canonical's got this great kind of packaging. I like to think of it as it delivers your bytes to you, right? So you can snap, let's snap find Juju, and we'll find out, oh wait, look, there's some snaps in here for Juju. There's a wait plugin, there's an action prototype people are playing with. But what we're looking for is Juju itself. So here is the Juju snap. And it is a classic snap, which means that it's not totally confined in. That work still goes on. But what we can do, let's ask for some info about it. Oh, sorry. Snap info Juju. I typed Juju way too much. So here we can get the details about the snap. We can see that, you know, it's from us, you know, a contact website. And we can see that I'm currently tracking the stable channel, and that's what I've got installed. I've got 2.2.2 installed, and when was it, you know, updated? Well, just on the 13th. What's nice about snaps, though, is that they have these channels, and the channels can be allow you to hop between different kind of tracks of work going on. So if I only wanted to follow, you know, stable, that's great. I would only ever get updated Juju versions at the stable version, but I can use a refresh command, and just because this is live, I'm going to actually instead go through my history here, and I can go and track future versions, like, you know, more bleeding edge. This is, we call this kind of like your risk level. You know, if you don't like risk at all, you stick with stable. If you know, are pretty risk adverse, but you want to know when the new stuff's coming, you do candidate. That's kind of where you'll see your RC releases and things hit the candidate channel before they go to the stable channel. If you're living a little bit more on the edge, you know, you want to be a little beta, and then we have all the way on the edge, which is the edge channel. And the edge channel is actually automatically built after code lands in trunk of Juju and allows you to keep really up to date. Now, again, this is a classic snap, so I have to use sudo because it's going to put some stuff in some paths that my user doesn't have access to. And we have to go and get that snap and install it. And now I've got a /snap directory, and in here is a bin directory, and in there we'll find a Juju. And so here you can see I've got the snapped version of 2.3. It's tagged as alpha 1. That will be the next release of Juju 2.3 will be an alpha. Now, it's not actually there yet. But what's awesome is this lets me play with code that's landed but isn't really released out yet. So in the storage example, if I were to just say Juju deploy no, let's think of a good example. All right, that flag needs an thing. But there's Juju deploy, I think it's --. I should know this better because I'm playing with this, attached store. It says I've provided a flag, but it's not defined. Now watch this. Let's say I now go to my snap bin Juju. Let's see, I'm gonna do this. Snap bin Juju. So this is now grabbing that edge version of Juju. Now it says there's a flag there and it needs an argument. So here you can literally see I am following the different code to play with a feature that's not yet released, it's not yet available, but I can test it and provide feedback. So this is really good for a couple different things. And I'm going to actually go through here and show this all the way and go, hey, let's bootstrap to AWS. Woo! And let's call it Juju Show. So what I'm going to do is actually bootstrap this. And why you may want to do this besides, hey, there's features that are in an upcoming release. It's also this really easy way to provide feedback, because with snaps, you can swap back and forth between channels. You saw me go from the stable channel to the edge channel. I actually use it a lot with debs, where I have the deb on stable and I use the snaps to get the bleeding edge stuff. And that way I've kind of got two binaries to play with at the same time. But you know, we talked a little bit ago about cross-model relations in the last Juju show and did a blog post about it. And there were some known issues with it at the time. It had a couple of bugs to it. One thing was that it didn't quite yet work with relations between subordinates across models and whatnot. Well, those fixes, those have landed. They're in 2.3. They're not going to be in the 2.2 behind the feature flag, because, you know, that's 2.2. It's now kind of locked and stable. So by using the snap and grabbing the next upcoming code, I can actually get really close to the developer workflow. If I see a branch land that fixes a bug that I have an interest in, by using the snap and refreshing up to the edge channel, within like the next day, I can test that out. I can QA it. I can provide feedback to the development team or my own internal teams about the use around this. Like, hey, this is going to be, this is how it works. Get ahead of the game, updating documentation and such. And then, you know, if I wanted to go back, I can refresh myself right on back to the stable channel, and no harm, no foul, right? So I could spend an afternoon playing with the latest, greatest on the edge stuff, and then the next morning go back to boring stable world. You know, use refresh to go back to the stable channel and carry on with my day-to-day production work. So, you know, call it Freaky Edge Fridays and try out the new stuff and see what's changed. So this is a great way for the development team to really closely request feedback. And it's just so much easier than asking those people to go out and build and compile the stuff, right? It's just not, it's not reasonable to ask everyone to go and follow the whole development path all the time. So there's a little bit of a delay. Like, I can't land a change right now and ask you to test it out a minute later, but it's really tight and the ease of use is really great. And so you may find use for this in your own projects, where it'd be really handy to deliver a, you know, binary release to your users, but without having to go all the way to saying, all right, we're going to, you know, you have to switch PPAs. That's rather difficult and it can have some issues. Snaps are really, because they're transactional and everything, they have a lot of great features that make this type of workflow, this type of following upstream really tight, just really, really easy. And even among the development team, oftentimes they will hack up something in a branch, and rather than handing the branch over, they'll actually quickly build a snap and send over that binary snap, because that can be a lot faster and easier. Again, the developer doesn't have to worry about their own dev environment or anything like that. They can just grab a snap, you know, it's just a binary, run over there and play with it, provide their feedback, QA it, test it, and then go from there. So this is taking a little bit. I'd hope this is go through a little bit faster. Basically, all I was going to do from here was, once it's completed, to show that I could switch back. But here you can see I'm grabbing the 2.3 alpha 1 you know, agents to run. This is going to be a 2.3 alpha 1 controller, obviously actually tagged out at some git shuff or whatever the build was from today. And that's something that I think we could do a good job on improving. I would love to see an actual feedback on where in the Git history this is, because I'm tracking that close. I may actually care, is this commit in it or not yet in it? And that's important. Like everything with snaps, these things can auto-update. So basically, why we like to say it's a risk factor is I'm saying I'm willing to risk the edge stuff, which means if there's a new code that lands overnight and I get up in the morning, I may find that my snap is updated to the latest edge, which may include changes from the day before. And so, yeah, it's a great way to just kind of play on the edge of stuff. As developers, we often like to get stuff before everyone else has it. And and for me, trying to provide good feedback on a product, this is so important, so vital. So here we go. So let's go look at the Juju status here. And status will show me my lovely model with my 2.3 version string here. And so like I promised, let's refresh. I'm going to go back to stable because, hey, we're done playing for now. And I believe it, that was really fast. It must have already used a previous download. So now let's go to snap bin juju -- version. Hey, back on 2.2.2. That was fun. All right, so hopefully you find this useful and interesting and something that you may be able to use as you're working with the engineering team or working internally to test out some things. And give us some feedback. What can we do to make the Snap experience better for your use? I'd love to hear your feedback. Hit me up in the comments or on Twitter at MITechie. So otherwise, everyone, this is your Juju show for the week. Apologies for the injury-laden show. And I promise I will have more stuff around next time we meet. So long.